Friends, this question from September 2025 quiz 2 question paper, and this question is related to symbolic testing. So there is a method compute the sum of positive integers and return on any negative input. Choose the appropriate path constraint for the while loop with a sequence of n true outcomes followed by a false under the each Ri as a fresh symbolic value. Friends, to solve this path constraint question, it is easy to draw the flowchart is int a. So that is the initialization of the variable a, right? Next, int sum equal to a. So initialization of the variable a and sum equal to a, that is sum to 0 and I starts from 0 and sum equals to a. So these are the initialization of the variables. So in the flow chart, first initialization of the variables. Next, the condition is while condition. For this condition, you have to draw diamond. So while loop is works until the condition is true. So while true, right? While true loop, this is the red color one, starts here, open here and closes here. So complete this one is where this one is under the while block. So that is it. This complete red color box code is executed until the while condition is true. This condition is true. Else, if the while condition is false, it returns sum, right? It returns sum. Let's consider the while condition is first condition. If the condition is false, that is F1. F1 means false. While false, it return the sum. Return sum. These statements will, this return sum statement will execute while the condition is false. While the condition is true, it enter into this red color box, right? Block of code. The condition is true. After this statement. So that is R equal to SYM means symbolic input. R is the symbolic input. So true means while the condition 1 is true. T1 means the condition 1, this one, that is while condition is true. So next, if block is executed, this one, right? If the condition, another condition is there, if the condition, what is this, R less than 0, that is this condition is true. Second condition, if the condition is true, that is T2. Second condition, 2 represents the second condition, that is if it is true for T, false for F, that is F2, false. If it is true, the break, right? So break, reach the break statement. Otherwise, if the condition is false, these two statements executes, right? If condition is false, that is F2. That is F2 means R greater than or equal to 0. If the condition is false, it will execute sum equal to sum plus R and I plus increment I value. This will execute. So this is the flowchart for the above program, friends. So you have to find when the while loop is executed, when the while loop breaks. But first we are initialized the variable sum int I equals to 0, right? After the while the condition is true, so while the condition is true, it enter into this path, right? This path. In this path, R equal to symbolic inputs, that is Ri. This is the symbolic inputs. So symbolic inputs are different than concrete input test case. So these symbolic inputs are continuously reads. continuously reads the symbolic inputs. These inputs are read when up to while condition is true. Until the while condition is true, it reads the symbolic inputs. After this, if condition is true, if r less than 0, if this arrow T2, right, T2, it breaks means it exit the loop. So loop is terminated, not program, friends. Loop is only terminated, important. If the condition is false, program flow is in this branch, green color branch. So this green color block means it continues the loop, while loop. To identify in the flowchart, you have to identify this when the loop exits, when the loop stops, and when the loop continues. Okay, so from the question, choose the appropriate path constraint for they are asking for the while loop. So they are asking for the while loop. So all these are for while loop. So next one is while loop with a sequence of n true outcomes followed by a false. That is n true outcomes followed by a false outcome. So n true means, so first true, what is this true? So this condition is related to while loop, right? So while true, this is while true. So while loop runs n times. True means while loop continues n times, and this outcome means n trues. Outcome means for continuing this loop outcome. Followed by means that is end. This is end, right? So by a false outcome. False means the while loop. This statement is related to while loop. So while loop breaks. Outcome for exiting the loop. So for exit the loop, friends. So from this you have to identify the conditions. So coming to, so how the while loop execute. Okay, so while loop, if the while loop starts, it starts from I equals to 0 to n minus 1, right? I equal to 0 to n minus 1. So consider Ri as the fresh symbolic value. So here the Ri is symbolic inputs. So I means Ri is symbolic inputs. I is this index. So for n trues means, so what is this Ri values? Phi equals to ranging from 0, 1 and so on n minus 1. That is R0, R1 and so on Rn minus 1. So for example, R0, R1 and so on R9. So how many values total? 10, right? total 10, but I value is 0 to 9, right? For example, in the same way, for the n truths, the I is ranges from 0 to n minus 1. That is 0 to n minus 1 is total n iterations, right? N iterations. For n iterations, I is 0 to n minus 1. That is Ri equals to R0, R1 and so on, or n minus 1. And for this false outcome, that is these are n iterations. Next iteration is n plus 1th iteration, right? For n plus 1th iteration, so what is the I value? So for this up to I equal to 0 to n minus 1, for nth iteration I is n, right? So for example, in this I equals to 0 to 9, right? 0 to 9, total 10 iterations, n equal to 10 iterations. That is Ri equals to R0 to R9, right? So for n plus 1th iteration, that is 11th iteration, I equal to 10, right? I equal to n means 10. That is for nth iteration. For I equal to n here. So here Ri equals to Rn, right? This is important. Rn. This is R equal to 0 to R1 to and so on, Rn minus 1. So that is I equals to 0 to n minus 1. This value is Ra, right? This is the index. So that is while loop continues for n iterations. n times true continues, and one time exit the loop false for this while loop. That is a while loop breaks. So write this in conjunction form. So in conjunction mean end, right? Conjunction mean conjunction form. Conjunction means end, and it is represented with. So from this and so I belongs to 0 to n minus 1. 0 to n minus 1. So here what is the condition for while loop continues? So this is right, condition continues the loop, that is this is the condition. Ri greater than 0, r greater than or equal to 0, r greater than or equal to 0. Here symbolic input r is I, right? R is I. So in the given in the question, so Ri is a fresh symbolic value. And this condition followed by and this is for true condition, for true, n times true, right? So this is for false condition, only one time false, right? What is the false condition? That is loop breaks if the if condition is true, that is r less than 0. So that is r means Ri, right? Symbolic input less than 0. So here you have to replace for nth iteration Ri. This is important. For nth iteration I equal to n, right? N plus 1th iteration I equal to n and Ri equal to Rn. So replace with n. So this value is Rn. So this is the answer, friends. This is the combined path constraint. You have to combine this one false n times true for the while loop. So we check the answers. I equal to 0 to n minus 1, Ri greater than or equal to 0 and Rn less than 0. This is true, right? So in this I value is 0 to n. This index is wrong and this one A is not used, right? Here the range is wrong. This is R, n plus 1 is wrong. N is correct. So this option is A. This option contains completely A plus n. This is also incorrect. Friends, in this type of questions, there are 4 types: for loop, while loop, do while loop and if loop. You have to learn all these 4 types: if, do while, and while and for. These 4 are important. Friends, thank you for watching. If you like my videos, please like and subscribe my channel and share with your friends.